My name is Shambhu Agarwal. I am the founder of IndiHire. It's a talent search company in leadership, RPO, and recruiting. Today, I have a privilege of speaking to Mr. Neeraj Gulati. He is the Chief AI Officer and SVP for Monotype India. Monotype is a world leader in font design and technology, and their motto is designing beautiful brand experiences. Just in brief about Neeraj, besides his executive role at Monotype, Neeraj is very intensely involved in a lot of high social impact assignments that he dedicates his life to. And few of them are change makers of Gurgaon at a scale. He is part of Delhi Skill and Entrepreneurship University. He is also a very active member and participant in Delhi's government school system. And you could see Delhi's school systems have gone through massive change over last few years. So that's Neeraj. Neeraj, thank you so much for giving your time today.
First of all, I would also like to thank you, Shambhu, for your interest in this topic and for engaging with me. But yeah, happy to be in this conversation. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. So, Neeraj, you started your career in the US, and then you have been instrumental, starting two large MNCs, innovation centers in India. And as you said, starting an innovation center for a company having a legacy of more than 125 years, that is Monotype. So how has been this journey for you, and now taking over as the chief AI officer for the company?
Yeah, so I think technology has been a massive sort of wind behind my sails for the last 40 years, 35 years. Um, at the very early days, my first discovery of technology happened when I was in ninth grade. I was studying in Lucknow, and my father took me by chance to IIT Kanpur.
Wow.
And before that, I had seen all sorts of machines, but I had never seen a computer. And it was a large computer in a large air-conditioned big hall. But what I was surprised by the fact was that it can change colors. It's almost like a chameleon, right?
Wow.
Because outside that computer science lab, it was written, accounting team will use it for an hour, and the physics department will use it for 2 hours, right? And like, how can a machine do multiple things like that? And I never noticed or seen anything like that before. So I was obsessed by computers at that point. And this journey has been amazing, right? There's a lot to be created over the last 25, 30 years, right? When I started out, there was no internet. There was basically no web, right? There was no HTTP, right? And there was not even dial-up connections from homes, right? So, and the PC was still a very expensive device, which was not in homes in large numbers. So from that point onwards to today, where it's ubiquitous, technology is all in our hands and embedded into our lives. It's been a great journey of discovery, creation, meeting wonderful people, and can't think of anything else I could have done better with my time so far.
Yeah, no, that's very fascinating. And one thing, Neeraj, about your curiosity, that a machine can do so many different types of tasks, which really led you, to stay inspired all throughout your career.
Yeah, I think life is all about solving mysteries in some cases, right? And many times you're facing something, and if you don't ask the question, you never get any interesting answers, or you don't find a new path.
Absolutely.
So even with AI, as we have the conversation today, there are lots of interesting questions one can ask.
Absolutely.
And that can kind of foretell the future, right? As to what might happen down the road.
Absolutely.
So curiosity too is a big driver, like you said.
No, no, our audience would be really interested to, know and learn a lot from you. Now, coming to our main topic for discussion, and I'm also looking forward to learn from you as much as our audience would like to learn. So AI, has been talked so much in different contexts. People take it. Some people think it is going to eat up jobs. It is going to bring productivity. So for a in simple terms, for a high school student, if you had to describe AI, what is AI?
So I think it has been human endeavor right from the beginning. So we were hunters and gatherers, and we were always trying to optimize our lives, right? That's what humans have always tried to do, right? We made the bow and arrow so that you don't have to run after the animal. You can shoot it down from a distance, right? So all the implements that humans have created have been to better life
over a period
of time, right? Like whether it's inventing the wheel or electricity or the locomotive and the car and everything else. So human sort of brains and minds are ingrained in ingenuity, right? We are constantly curious and constantly trying to find better ways to do things or go into the unexplored and find what's out there, right? So in this quest, I think since technology came along, humans have been trying to mimic machines, right? So when you look at a car, if you ask each other, right, how many horsepower does it have? Right? We are mimicking horses to turn it into vehicles, right? To cars, right? So we have always tried to say, okay, what nature has created, can we nurture it and make it even bigger at scale, right? So we are 7 billion people on the planet, but we need a lot more people to do knowledge work, for example.
Right.
We can do a lot more if we had more horsepower, which was not just a car, but a robotic horsepower, for example, right? There are a lot of elderly people living around the world who can't do their own dishes, or they can't cook food, for example, by themselves, right?
Right.
Wouldn't it be nice for them to have a machine that can help them do it, right? So human ingenuity is always going after that, after the unknown. We all know that a lot of diseases go undetected, and we have a lot of fatalities around us. So can machines help us detect diseases faster? And can we cure diseases better? So there's all these inventions and discoveries that are required. But at the very basic level, I think what we're trying to do is create machines that are more and more like humans. So if you remember the early days, when you use Facebook, you could tag people by just facial recognition, right? So that was the early days of AI, where it came with AI, image recognition. And then you got things like Siri and Alexa, which could recognize your voice, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
that is what humans do, right? We listen and we understand, we see and we understand. So those are the basic human capabilities that we have started building on top of technology, right? Then we build a little bit more advanced things, like we said, okay, can I help this person go from point A to point B using maps, right? And those maps could, how do you build those maps? So you have to map the streets to figure out how the roads are laid out, and then you can help guide people, right? Turn right. You can't make somebody turn right on a one-way street which is going left, right? So all that learning happened through technology, image recognition mounted on cars. And then once you learn that, then you can provide a better service to humans so that they can get point A to point B better. And now in the last 2 years, I think we have built much larger, much more sophisticated foundational technologies. And with that, our dreams have become bigger as humanity, right? Now, I would say to a 12th grade student that we are trying to make as complete a human being as possible, right? So now it can have a conversation with you, which is not pre-planned. Now it can see a lot more. So the latest version of GPT-4 Vision, for example, can look at a MRI image and tell you there is a malignancy or not.
Wow, okay.
Right? It can look at a diagram of a software component and write code for it. Just like a human mind works, right?
Okay.
Right? It can do a lot of things where we could not do before. Second thing is also creation. So now we are using machines to create like humans do, right? So we do graphic design, or we do painting or whatever. So it can paint like Van Gogh, right? So we are trying to make these machines as better, as smarter as possible. Similarly, on the robotic side, we are making them as nimble and mobile as possible so that they can do those household chores that most humans hate doing, right?
Yeah.
So bottom line is, whether it's vision or whether it's listening or whether it's calisthenic action, we are trying to mimic humanity so that we can build co-pilots or assistants to ourselves.
Or the companion.
Companion, an assistant to yourself, so that you can stop doing some of those sort of laborious things, mundane things, and like we are not riding on horses anymore, right? We are driving in cars, and now those cars will be self-driving. So as we remove those mundane things from our lives, humans end up doing something of higher order, of more importance. For example, taking humanity to other planets, right? If we free ourselves from the grunt work, we might end up doing something very interesting or protecting our environment much better than we could do before.
Absolutely.
Right? So those are the ways I think people are looking at AI and building it up.
So, I think Neeraj summed it up so well. So AI is nothing but machines, and these machines are intelligent. They can recognize voice, images, text, and they are here to complement. They are here as a companion. They are here as a helper, because there is a lot of talk going around that AI is going to destroy. So, coming to the next one, do you see, as AI is evolving, and as we are putting more and more intelligence into the machines, the relationship between humans and the technology, do you see that AI will affect that, or will it intensify this the marriage much more?
Yeah, so I think every wave of technology is shocking for the previous generation, right? Because we have lived without it. So living with it is hard to understand or hard to imagine. I'll tell you an example. When the transistor radio came along, the
Right.
wireless transistor radio with a battery in it, my grandfather was very upset with my uncle that he's constantly listening to all this music and not concentrating on his studies, right? So that was an innovation that was loved by the new generation but hated by the
Old one.
because they didn't understand how to coexist with that innovation, right? So similarly, I think our relationship with technology has been changing on a daily basis, right? 20 years ago, we were not carrying these phones in our hands. Perhaps we had more time for one-on-one conversations, but now we are doing that. And that relationship has strengthened humanity, right? Made our lives better, safer in many ways. In the future, I think, as you said, the mundane tasks will be going away, and these people will become our companions. And I said people, not machines, right? Because they will be like creatures. They will behave like one. They may not have emotions and they may not have all the creativity of humans, but they will be able to do a large, broader set of tasks and do it reliably, and be of service to humanity going forward.
Yeah, no, that's really wonderful. So, Neeraj, do you think AI will become self-aware? And like it is projected in some of the movies that we all have seen, will it surpass humans? Even Elon Musk had made some prophecy. So, what are your personal views on this?
See, I'm also a student of AI as much as a practitioner, so I'm also learning and trying to understand what the future might hold. Mathematically, you can represent most of human knowledge. How do you mathematically capture and sort of predict behavior and emotion and creativity, right? Is yet to be figured out, right? Now, having said that, can some of human consciousness get transferred into machines that have brains almost like the neurons and the synapses that we have in our minds? From my perspective, as far as innovation is concerned, never say never.
Right, absolutely.
You never know what's the art of the possible. Like Henry Ford said, people will need cars of one of two colors, and guess where we are. A lot of people said, oh, humanity will need 10,000 personal computers, and we have 10,000 in one building complex,
absolutely,
right? So never say never. I think it's like peeling the onion. Humanity is figuring out the next step, and bottom line is, if there is value, humans will figure it out. And with venture capital being accessible to high value endeavors, it is inevitable that if there is something of value, then humans will figure it out.
No, that's wonderful. So, one thing that Neeraj just mentioned, that he's as much as a student of the subject as much as the practitioner, and I have known Neeraj for almost 12 or 14 years. This is one thing that I really appreciate about him. So we are all, students in some context. And Neeraj, this is so wonderful. Be again talking to you. Neeraj, a lot of times we get very confused, reading, listening about like AI, machine learning, and deep learning. So we wanted to hear thoughts, for the audience, how they're different.
Yeah, so they are all learning systems, right? We started out with simpler problems, like identifying what's on an image, right, for example, or predicting prices of homes in a certain area, right? These are problems which much less complexity, so simpler models of machine learning would help. And everything began with supervised learning, so you would label a lot of training data train a model so that it's starting to predict at a good level of accuracy, and then you unleash it on unseen data that it can predict whether what it's seeing there or classify it or things like that. As we got into deeper problems, right, understanding more complex natural language or image based content, a shallow model would not work. You needed more neurons and more depth of neurons to process and to figure out the relationships and map it out. So that's where deep learning came along. And that was a massive advance. Like a lot of services that we use today are enabled by deep learning. And then we got more ambitious as humanity, and we also built computing that could handle much bigger payload or a workload. In fact, humans made GPUs for graphic applications and gaming. And those GPUs turned out to be the best platform to do matrix manipulation and linear algebra. So those GPUs have been sort of redeployed into the AI space, and companies like NVIDIA are really harvesting
all those innovations.
From those innovations. So as that capacity became available, it's amazing how many GPU farms, or what kind of level of GPU farms some of these large language model trainings require. And it basically harvests all the knowledge that humans have created in our books, on the internet, and the large language models are able to do a lot more than the specialized AI
which had a very limited application.
Very specialized application.
Right.
And when you use large language models now, you can see that it's got a very broad sort of spectrum of activity that it can do, right? It can write you a poem, it can
do
lots of things,
stuff,
change the tone and the sentiment of a message that you might be sending, create a job description in your world. So it's a much broader set of things it can do based on, because it's running on a much larger model with a lot more training data than we had ever trained any machine with before.
Right, and these data run into billions of combinations.
Correct.
You know, we consult with many companies in AI for their leadership talent, and we have seen that these companies already have billions of combinations of data sets.
Correct.
You know, which they are able to apply to solve a business problem.
Correct.
So just to summarize, so machine learning, deep learning, they are all part of AI. And generative AI, as you were mentioning earlier, Neeraj, is basically, you know, all the text, image, video, and voice. So they like interchanged, and there are a lot of you know, learning, and there are multi-model stuff which is sitting on top, and which is solving our day-to-day problem.
Correct. And less special purpose and a little bit more general purpose. That is where we are heading towards. We want models that are more general purpose, so that they can take care of many more use cases, broader set of use cases.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, so Neeraj, there is an apprehension about AI is going to take a lot of jobs. We are in a talent abundance country, and we have so many graduates passing out from you know, colleges. We have bright minds coming out from other schools. So, what is your forecast? How do you see that? You know, will it really impact and take away human jobs?
Yeah, to me it's a rearrangement of sorts, right, which is happening in the economy on a daily basis, whenever you look at it. Like if you look at the world of travel, right, it used to be bespoke services that an agent would provide, and now it went into e-commerce. A lot of things turned from human to digital e-commerce, right? The digital transformation has been happening for decades now. And as people come out of that, they find higher order things to do. As far as software jobs, which is a big part of what India has an abundance of, I think my premise is that the world needs a whole lot more software than we can imagine. So if AI can accelerate creation of high quality software and test and automation, the faster we can get to those use cases that are untouched at this point. Better user experiences, deeper, like if you look at India, right? India has bridged the digital divide, but it has not bridged the information divide, right? If I only know Gujarati, or if I only know Punjabi, I don't have much information on the internet. I have an access problem.
I know,
right? And there are people with fairly good buying power, and with a lot of real use cases of day-to-day problems that entrepreneurs can address if that divide were to be removed, and they were more inexpensive ways of writing software to serve those communities. So I think AI can enable a lot more value creation for much broader use cases than we could ever address before. As far as software is concerned, I feel quite confident that people who can use AI well, software developers who can use AI well, will be well positioned for the future.
The future. So, as you said, it is the rearrangement which is going to happen. And you also mentioned that the world needs a whole lot of, more software and more softwares.
Correct.
So, you will need a lot of software engineers. It's just that the part of the software engineering talent which is getting freed because AI can do part of their job. So they can rearrange themselves into, into learning new languages and new models, and they can actually get redeployed where more and more softwares are required. So you are seeing that this rearrangement process will be, continuous.
Correct.
And it's not going to really impact the job market in a big way.
Absolutely.
Is that something?
Yes. I look at the new economies that are being created, right? Like, for example, we are turning space exploration and transport into a regular business, right? Like, there are many companies now which are delivering payload into space, and that is, a lot of that will get deployed using new software, right? There will be, at some point, some space operating systems, right, that will drive some of these vehicles that are flying around.
100%.
Similarly, there will be communities that we will be building, whether it's on the moon or on Mars, and those will require, that's like a new humanity altogether, right?
Absolutely.
It'll require its own software, its own mission critical systems to keep certain platforms oxygenated, and we'll be doing farming there, and those automated farming will be required there as well. So we'll be creating new chips, right? So if you create a new colony on another planet, you can't be dependent on Earth, because the premise is that if anything happens to Earth, that community should be able to thrive and grow. Right?
Absolutely.
So you can't supply chips and food and materials from here. It has to become as self-reliant as possible.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of those opportunities. And protecting the environment on Earth, right? We are in a massive crisis right now, the global warming crisis, right?
Yeah.
So there is a lot more technology that we can apply to that if we have more capacity to build that kind of technology. And we can protect every tree on the planet. We can protect every lake, right? We can monitor it from space. So there's a lot more to be done. I think I would assure everybody out there that if you have a curious mind, there's enough problems to solve.
So there is a, so what you're saying, Neeraj, is that it will impact the whole rearrangement of the job market, the talent ecosystem. But it is not, it's not that it is going to make a large part of the talent unemployed. I think the talent has to reskill themselves.
That's right.
And a lot of these areas that you talked about, from space technology to greener planet, environment,
biogenomics,
biogenomics, and so many other areas, if they can get into one of these, they are future ready.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So they're that's a valuable lesson from Neeraj. Now, looking at India. And India's hyper growth right now, the whole world is watching, India, because we're going through consumption and investment driven, a growth in the country. So what do you see that, how AI can impact, whole of India's growth trajectory and also India's talent ecosystem?
Yeah, that's a great question. So as I think about India, right, one thing definitely is the information divide. So I have been interacting a lot with the large language models in Hindi. And
is it at Monotype?
Just as a personal project. And as you interact with it in Hindi, it is very good in responding back in very legible language, right? Not using very complicated words either. So I think it definitely serves to bridge the relationship between businesses and consumers. It can transform the relationship between government and citizens also, right? It can transform the way in which we can govern more effectively, be more accountable to the people, get projects done on time. And obviously there's quality of life opportunities for people, right? Like India has a massive shortage of teachers, for example. High quality teachers, especially when it comes to rural areas. India's dichotomy is that some of our best doctors and teachers, although many of them born and raised in rural areas, once they get educated, they don't want to go back and teach or take care of the unhealthy there. They want to live in cities because cities are such a magnetic force. AI, I think, has the power to be a personalized teacher, tutor to every child.
Delivered in the rural areas, right in the school to the kid.
And personalized to that child.
Wow.
Right, to their level of learning and ability, so that you don't have this mass production of students in a classroom of 50. Every child can have personalized tutoring, which is a huge opportunity. It's called the 2 alpha problem. There is a lot of research done that personalized tutoring has a massively bigger learning impact than classroom aggregate kind of learning. So healthcare, education, governance, right? Safety, like safety is also an issue in
security
and safety is an issue. Environment, right? India has a lot of environmental issues. North India is going through massive water crisis. So can we water our farms in more targeted manner so that water is, or even pesticides, are targeted to areas where it's really required rather than carpet bombing it, right?
Absolutely.
And there is massive optimizations that are possible through that and can reduce the burden of, we are a very agri economy and there's a large number of people to be fed.
Mm-hmm.
So can we feed them more sustainably, and can we feed them smartly so that we don't destroy our ecosystem in the process?
So Neeraj, we in our discussion with the many entrepreneurs that we meet, and we also see a lot of startups in most of these areas starting up, which are very focused on rural. Some are focused on biotechnology, some focused on space and so on. So I think a lot of these vision that you have for rural India, that can we have the AI assistant delivered, personalized to that student in a small village, and making that impact in the rural India, I think immense potential. And as we will grow and we move forward as a country, I think we both share the view that the AI is going to really bring the best out of Indians even much more in the future.
Yeah, see, AI has brought a bunch of challenges as well, right? We are talking a lot about fake news, right? AI has a lot of potential to create content that is actually so precise that you can't tell whether it's you talking or somebody else.
Absolutely.
Right, so obviously it comes with these challenges, but then there's a lot of regulation work going on globally to address some of that. There is initiatives that Monotype is part of as well, in terms of, we call it the C2PA initiative, which is a lot of companies are part of it, where we sign digital content with authenticity information, so that any consumer knows where this content actually originated and who has edited it and where it's coming from.
Very nice.
So,
like a
ledger,
tagging the whole thing. No,
that's right. Like a manifest you have in a shipping.
Right.
It's got a manifest to know where the ship has been before,
I know.
Right, things like that. So there is risk and there is opportunity,
Right.
but I think the opportunity far outweighs the risk.
Yeah. Neeraj, my last and very important request to you, the the talent which is trying to build a career in AI, what would be your piece of advice for them?
Yeah, I think so. In my mind, there are multiple personas like watching your program, right? You may be a user of technology or you may be a builder of technology, right? If you are a user of technology, I would encourage you to have fun. Have fun with these different large language models out there. Have fun with looking at stories of what other people are doing, looking at opportunities that other people are thinking of to sort of unravel with AI, and to be as hands-on as possible. One simple example is, take a couple of courses on prompt engineering. See, prompting is a great way to drive value out of these large models. And once you learn that, it gives you a great opportunity. Similarly, you can take other courses if you want to dig a little bit deeper. You can become experts at things like Midjourney, right? Midjourney, DALL-E, these platforms are going to become the marketeers' toolkit. And we are never going to create content without some of these tools, and it changes the game. So explore, experiment. For the technical folks who want to build a career building AI technology, I think hands-on is the answer, right? Pretty much every learning opportunity around the world, or for every technology out there in AI, is openly and freely available. Hardly anything is for to be paid for. So Microsoft has a bunch of courses, Coursera has lots of courses. There's so many different choices. So you can go out there and learn on your own time. Respect time. I think time is the most precious commodity, like we said at the beginning, that you have. So leverage that time and have fun with it. I think it doesn't have to be a race, right? Learn, enjoy, build stuff, and before you know it, you will be deep inside it and figuring out new use cases that people will be interested in. So just go do it. There's a ton of opportunity out there.
Yep. No, that's really wonderful, and thank you so much, Neeraj. And if I may take the liberty, your LinkedIn biodata summarizes you with 5 words. Just to repeat, listener, builder, dreamer, helper, and investor. I would also like to add one thing, with your permission, is learner. I can see, even after spending over 25 years in the industry in the US and in India, how curious your mind is even now, and how much bias you have for learning. So I personally taking away, a little bit advice for myself is, one should keep learning, and we should not really get, overly worried about this AI taking jobs, and it is going to disrupt the human race and mankind. It's going to create a lot of chaos. I think we have to use it prudently, and and AI is not a competitor. It is actually a companion, and it is going to be a good companion to make us much more happy and make this planet a better place to live in. So thank you very much, Neeraj. I really appreciate your time. I enjoyed discussion, and look forward to staying in touch with you.